Oh, all right. Here we are again. So yeah, this is my very first live, and um, I'm hoping that I'm trying to do this. I'm so glad people don't tune in right away, because so far the first 2 minutes have been a disaster. And I'm trying to use my timer, which is not working, and whatever. If it ends up sideways, it ends up sideways. Because this is all about laughter, and laughter is what laughter is. So let's just figure out what's going on here. If anybody comes on, please, well, I guess it's no use me asking you this if you're not here, but I'm hoping this is turned the right way up, because it wasn't before. All right, so I am good now, apparently. But I'm holding it in my hand, so it's going to be very shaky. So we are here for the first things that make you go, mmm. And people have been asking me all week, what is this? What is this? Are you promoting your book? I had a few others asking me if there's going to be nudity or anything, or, displays of sexual nature or anything like that. And I'm like, no, there will not. This is all about sensuality and what it means to be sexy. And that can be a variety of things. So, hi Darlene, hi Barbie Lee, and hi Jen Van T. Thank you for joining me. Things that make you go, there's so many. But today we're talking about laughter. And let's just say that a bad start is a good way to get a good laugh. So let's take it from there. Virginia has joined in, and Nancy has joined in. Hi, you guys. Thanks so much for being with me on my inaugural, very shaky, what do you call it? Live video, yippee! So, laughter. If you have ever been in a relationship, or have looked for someone in a relationship, or have talked to someone who wants to be in a relationship, one of the first things that usually comes up is, I want them to make me laugh, or they need to have a sense of humor. And it is an extremely important piece of being sexy, of being sensual, of being in this world, because laughter is something that, for lack of a better word, makes us happy. Hi, Ivana. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and we're going to talk about some of those. Laughter or a sense of humor is actually in the top 3 of what people desire in a relationship. And for men, it actually turns up higher than wearing sexy clothes, which is kind of ironic, because I was going to wear a corset for today's live, and I've gained a bit of weight, as a lot of us have in the last year, and I couldn't get them on. So here I am in a sweater. And so we're talking about laughter instead of sexy clothes today. But laughter is actually more desirable than sexy clothes, which I found really, really interesting. Because a lot of us spend a lot of time and a lot of money on what we wear. And maybe we should be spending a little more time on how we are funny. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well, about how to develop a sense of humor. So let's go back to, in a relationship, why, or how it is that the sense of humor or laughter has become such a huge, so high on the level of desirability. Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining. So, sorry, I'm trying not to say One of the things is it's seen as flirtatious because if you've ever laughed with someone, we throw our heads back, we flip our hair, touch. There's a lot of, often hand touching, arm touching when we're laughing. And that's all the same kinds of things that women do when they're flirting. So, no surprise that it would be seen as flirtatious. It's also a sign of intelligence because you can't be funny if you're not at least relatively intelligent, because it requires observation and wordplay, and so it shows that you have something going on upstairs if you are funny. And I just want to play you something real quick because you hear that? There's nothing better than a baby's laugh. It makes, I don't know anyone who doesn't laugh when they hear a baby laugh, because it's just so real and honest and full. And laughing with someone brings that feeling, it brings that intimacy, that joy with each other. I was listening to a podcast by local celebrity Peter Brown about laughter. And one of the doctors that he interviewed said that laughter is social joy. So when you're meeting someone and getting to know someone, it's totally social because you're being joyful and having a great time together. And there are 4 kinds of humor. Funny stories. So you're recounting a lot of comedians use funny stories. Like they just relate something about their lives and talk about, and put a funny spin on it. And, a lot of times I listen to a comedian and I'm like, geez, I've had something very similar happen to me, but I would never be able to tell it that way and make someone laugh that hard. There's also life's absurdities. So just observations about weird things that happen in our lives. And there's also sarcasm and teasing, and which most of us have probably either done or been on the receiving end of. Hi, Tamara. And there's also self-defeating or self-deprecating humor. Can't talk right now. So what makes people drawn together are the funny stories and the life absurdities. That they are something you can share and makes you feel closer to whoever you're with. The sarcasm, teasing, and self-deprecating humor actually create the opposite effect. So if you're wanting to be closer to someone and be attracted to them and be sexy, you want to use funny stories and observations about life's absurdities rather than sarcasm or being self-deprecating, because that will actually separate you from the other person, and that's not sexy at all. So I want to go back to Peter Brown's documentary for a little bit, because there were so many things that came out of that really, really spoke to me there. And so I already mentioned the social joy. So the fact that our laughter in general and laughing in a group is a social activity. And if you've ever been to a comedy show where there aren't very many people, there's usually very little laughter. Same with going to a funny movie. If the theater's almost empty, you don't get a lot of laughs. But if it's full, it can just wave and wave and wave through the room, because it's a very social activity. And once and it's contagious. And once you start, it starts going, of course, just like this. It just makes you want to laugh along. Laughter is a nonverbal reaction. We spend a lot of our time trying to form words, trying to form sentences, trying to sound intelligent or inspirational or draw people in to our circles with words. But laughter draws people in immediately because it's just primal. Gorillas laugh. Rats laugh. Did you know that rats laugh? They've done studies with different animals, and they found out that when they are happy, like when they're playing or being tickled, that they laugh. And nobody knew rats laughed until they did this study where they actually taught them how to play hide and seek, and they laughed so high that nobody could hear it. So somebody changed the pitch and found out that rats laugh, which I thought was hilarious because, gorillas I understand. I mean, we're supposedly related to them, and so it makes sense that they laugh, but rats also laugh, which is awesome. And so because it's nonverbal, it draws us together more quickly. It doesn't matter what your language is, doesn't matter what your political views are. It's just an automatic drawing. It's something that everybody understands. And one of the things I think it draws us to other people is because it's vulnerable. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but when you're laughing, you can't speak. You can barely breathe, especially if you're laughing so hard you're going to pee, right, Barbie Lee? And so it creates this vulnerability because you can't fight, you can't defend yourself, you can't hardly move when you're really laughing well. So it's a very vulnerable place, and that allows you to have more of a connection with someone because you have you've shown them that you are comfortable enough with them to be that vulnerable. And that's also extremely sexy when you're vulnerable with someone. It's also the sound of play. So like we were just talking about, it's when you're being tickled, when you're having fun, when you're in a space that's safe, it comes out. And so that's also extremely, extremely sexy because you're wanting to play and have fun with the person you're with. And how can you not be drawn to that? Another really cool feature about laughter is that a lot of times when we are expecting a hard space, so think we're going to get in trouble, or that there's going to be some anger or danger involved, or you're afraid, and then it turns out not to be that, and you laugh because it's a release. And it's that surprise factor, and so again, that creates an intimacy with whoever you're with, because you're like, oh my God, I thought that guy around the corner was dangerous, but he's not. He's actually really, he's just off to get into his car or whatever. And so you're like, oh, that's so much better. And there's that laughter and release and that sexy feeling of safety. And it's the opposite of fear and disgust. So when you're with someone you're attracted to, that laughter shows them that there is that lack of fear, so you're feeling safe, that lack of disgust, so you actually like them. So that makes you feel sexy as well. And of course, as we've already alluded to, it's contagious because it just gets us. Oh, this baby's not laughing, but he's definitely having a good time. I just want to play the laughter in behind, but the baby's not laughing. There we go. There's some laughter. There we go. And it's just contagious. So you're sharing, you're having a good time together, and everybody's happy. Oh, okay. Okay, babies, you can go away for a little bit. Laughing together is a form of telepathy. It's kind of cool how that it's almost like you're communicating non-verbally, because like we said, it's a non-verbal reaction and it breaks down your barriers. So let's talk real quick about, yeah, sure, laughter's great and it's something that people are drawn to, but I'm not really all that funny. So how can I have more laughter in my life? So how do you develop a sense of humor? I mean, it's kind of one of those you're born with it or you're not things, but like anything in life, you can develop the skill and the habit. So one of the ways is to parrot, and that would be repeating a story, repeating a joke, speaking in a voice that you find funny, and just practicing that way. Another way is to develop your wit, and that's a lot harder because, as we said earlier, that requires some intelligence, but it also can be developed by reading, observing, and allowing yourself to make comments and observations. A lot of times when we aren't sure of ourselves or don't think we can be funny, we won't make those comments. But sometimes just the most offhand comment can be the funniest, and you want to practice it, because if you just hold it in all the time, you're never going to know what works and what doesn't. Concentrate on things that amuse you, because if you're trying to play to your audience or be someone you're not, it's not going to come off and you're not going to be funny. There's also timing. Anytime you're being funny, if you're telling a story, pace it. Take your time. Don't rush it. Pause. Speak slower than you would normally speak, and enjoy the reaction. And you'll also be able to gauge whether or not people are coming on the journey with you, because the last one is knowing when to stop. Because if you keep trying to be funny and it's not working, talking faster and just keeping going is not going to make it any funnier. Just go, oh, well, I thought this story was pretty funny, but I think it was funnier in my head than it really is, and just let it go. So to recap, laughter or sense of humor are one of the top attractors in life. So whether you're looking for a romantic partner or just being with your friends, laughter will always draw you together, because it is social joy. And being joyful, being social, whether it's in a Zoom call or in real life, when whatever, on the phone, chatting with someone in the line at a grocery store, the social joy is what brings us together and makes us super, super sexy. So thank you guys for joining me for my first live. Had a bumpy start, and everything is a learning. So stay sexy, everybody, and have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.